I'm Frank Garza, and welcome to Here and Abroad, a podcast that follows the U.S. men's national team and their player pool across Europe, MLS, or wherever else they play their club football. On today's show, we're going to get to know more about Marlon Fossey, who received his first cap for the USMNT in their recent friendly against New Zealand. The right back plays his club football for Standard Liège in the Belgian Pro League. To help me today, I've invited Kevin Sauvage to join the show. Kevin is a sports journalist who covers Standard Liège for Sudinfo. He's been covering the club since 2010. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hey, Frank, thanks for the invitations. It's a real pleasure for me to teach you a little bit about Marlon Fossey time here in Belgium.
Well, I have a lot to learn. I really liked what I saw from Fossey in the friendly against New Zealand. It made me realize how little I know about him, how little I had watched him before. So I really wanted to learn more, and I found you. And so excited to hear about that. And can we just start by, what are your overall impressions of Marlon Fossey as a player?
Well, we discovered him two years ago as he came from Fulham, the under 21 of Fulham. I can say that Marlon is a quite explosive player, just like Standard fans like them. He quickly established himself in to 2022, 2023 under the guidance of someone who you knew about in MLS, Ronnie Dela. And he became a key player since the beginning for the team, which played in a 3-5-2 system that allowed him to roam their entire right flank. His ability to multiply the high intensity run was impressive, and that made him one of the favorites of the Standard Liège supporters. So he had a good impression since the beginning. He had to adapt a bit in the intensity in Jupiler Pro League because it's not well known. But here in Belgium, if you don't run, if you are not physical, it will be very, very tough for you. And I think he adapts quite well. In the past, in his young years, Marlon suffered from several injuries, especially knee injuries. But during his first season here in Belgium, he only missed 4 games. So it was quite a little victory for him. To speak about last season was more difficult for him because the team didn't work well. Problem on the pitch, outside of the pitch, because of the US owner of the club's 777. So it was a mess here, and Malo didn't play his best football, and he said to us it was not the real Marlon Fossey. Injuries came back, and he missed 10 games last season. So it was very, very difficult for him. And I think that in the beginning of the season, he thought he was going to be in the middle of transfer window. I think he expected something to come. Because I will tell you a small anecdote about that. Because in the preseason camp, so last season, Standards played in the Netherlands a friendly game against AZ Alkmaar. It was under without supporters, only journalists and some agents. And just next to me, I recognized him. It was the sport director of Rennes, Florian Maurice. And I asked him what he was doing here. And he just said me that he was on holiday. So it was bullshit because no one goes to holiday on the Netherlands. And he was there to see some play of AZ Alkmaar. But in the end, it was Marlon names who he wrote down on his sheet of paper. And I saw him speaking to Marlon after the game. Ren was interested, but no offer came. So maybe it was in his head in the beginning of the season, and after, as I told you, there was a complete mess in in the club. So it was difficult for him. And now, this season, I must say, I recognize the real Marlon Fossey. He's very consistent, and we found back the man that we discovered 2 years ago.
So first season, sounds like he did great. Second season, not so good. Mm-hmm. Now in his third season, he seems to be playing at a high level again.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay. What do you think? He seems like, well, I was watching some interviews with him, both before the, friendly against New Zealand that he was, they interviewed him before the match. He was about to start his first, match for the USMNT, and then they interviewed him afterwards. He seems like quite a confident guy. Does he have a lot of like flair, a lot of confidence? Is that something he shows at Standard as well?
Yes, he showed that immediately when he came. That was astonishing for us because he was already 23, I guess. Yes, and he said to us, "Okay, it's my career will start now here in Standard because I played a lot of game in Fulham, but not the real game, in the first division. He played also for Bolton, but never in first division, and he showed some confidence, and I think that it helped him on the pitch. I didn't saw the game of USA and New Zealand, but I can imagine how he played without any complex. And like he was playing the game against AZ Alkmaar in preseason with Standard. This is one of his real strength that he played without pressure.
Yeah, I definitely saw that. He didn't look like that was his first game at all. He's 26 years old, and so a lot of US fans are kind of like, where is this guy
come from?
Where's this guy been? Yeah, where's he come from? And it's made me wonder, did it take him a long time to, develop into the player he is now? Or has he been performing quite well for some time, and it's just that the U.S. wasn't, giving him a chance, with a call up? I mean, can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, you did mention that, it sounds like he had a very good season, 2 seasons ago, but, we still didn't hear much from him. But what have you seen from him in terms of development, and why do you think it's maybe taken so long for him to get called into the U.S.?
So first, we have to say that he has a very particular career path because, even though he's an American people, he also a bit English, because it was in England that he really became a footballer. He left California at the age of 4, I think, to move to England, and especially the island of Jersey with his mother. After that, at the age of 11, I think he started to play for Fulham, and he grew up over there, and he became a real footballer over there. And I would say that the Sting song "Englishman in New York" suits him well. If he really, and you have to know that in Fulham he started as a striker first, so that means he has more attacking abilities because of that. But as I told you, he suffered from a number of injuries, and he admitted in his younger years that he did not manage his body well. So he improved a lot about that on that point before coming to Belgium and after being here in Belgium. He worked a lot. He never played much game in the past than is in the first year in Standard, and it's all about consistency. And it's his word because when he came to us to the press, he always said that Standard has to be consistent, and him too. So I think it's only a question about consistency, and I think it's a best good reward for him to be selected now. I don't think he deserved that before last season, especially. Maybe in his first season, I think he could have been selected. I don't know why he didn't, but yeah, take a lot of time for him to grow up. And okay, he's already 26, but 26 in football, it's young. But step by step, and now I think he's ready to explode here in Standard, and I think he can expect a good move in the summer.
Okay. You told me a little bit about how he is utilized by the team, but can you talk a little bit more about how Standard utilizes him, what they want from him tactically, what he does, week in, week out for the team?
Mm-hmm. Yes, as I told you, he plays on the right flank in 3-5-2 system. It's always the same. Still 2 years ago, and he's expected to be very attacking and provide more assists. At the moment, on 65 games, no, 66, sorry, he has only 3 assists and 5 goals, and I'm sure he can do much better, really much better. But he also need to be able to manage his effort, because okay, he's able to multiply the high intensity run, the sprint, but sometimes, and I think it was a weakness, especially last season, he gets tired quick in the game, in the second half, but too quick. It was difficult sometimes to finish at high intensity, and also to be careful to not being catch on his back, because he's really offensive. He ran a lot, but sometimes there's a lot of space in his back, and I think he improved about that tactically, with Rainy Dale, especially in the first season. Now Standard Liège has a Croatian coach, Ivan Leko, and he's quite good also at defending, and he teach him a lot of things about the positioning on the pitch since the beginning of not of the season, because Ivan Leko came in January to Standard Liège, so it will help him to improve on the defending way of his game.
Yeah. Then the next thing I wanted to ask you about was, what you see his strengths are, what you see his opportunities to improve are. Sounds like defending maybe is an opportunity to improve, but how would you classify his strengths and biggest areas he needs to get better at?
This best strength for me, as I told you, it's clearly that his explosiveness, hardness with the ball at his feet is quite technical. Also, the ability to link up sprints and high intensity run, but already, as I already told you, he has to be careful not to take too many risks in this game. He had to have the confidence of the other defender, because he's really high on the pitch. You have to be covered by the other on his back, and to take care of the space he let on his back. I think it's the main point that he still have to improve. But I rather say that he's a quite complete player, because okay, he's a defender first, but I want to see him more in the decisive zone, to be more decisive with assists, not especially goals, but more assists, and to be consistent in his cross also. I think his cross could be better, but really, with the other right back here in Belgium, I think he's on the top 3 for sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't have more, goals and assists. From just again. I watched him play one match against New Zealand, who, it isn't the best team in the world, So who knows? But I saw him. He looked very creative with his. Sometimes you see like these outside backs that they're really good at just, they get forward and then they just launch these kind of wild crosses into the box, over and over again. And I didn't see that with him. I saw him very patient. I saw him kind of waiting for the right pass, whether it was a cross into the box or maybe a cut back pass to somebody who was coming from downfield. He was just very patient. He seemed to be creative. What do you think's stopping him from getting more goals and assists? Is it just
I
The
think
touch on passes, or
I think it's especially because the last season of Standard was really really weird and really hard, really tough for him. Standard didn't attack a lot. They were more defensive than attacking last season. This season too. Also, you have to know that since the last game that Marlon missed because for the anecdote he came back too late from USA on Thursday evening and Standard played in Friday night, so he didn't play it that game, and it was the first victory away for Standard since 1 year. So you can imagine.
wow.
Yeah, and I think okay, he was hit by the fact that he had to defend first because Standard only scored 4 goals in 7 games here this season. They had to rebuild the foundation from the back, and Marlon had to deal with that, to cope with that, and he did it. So maybe I think now in the future you will see that Sona will play more offensively, and that will help him to give to have some more assist, but also that things help him to be, as you said, more patient and more clever in his game to wait the best moment to go, and I think it will help him in the future for sure.
You mentioned that a summer transfer for him is probably pretty likely. Do you think he has the talent, from what you've seen, to go to one of the bigger leagues in Europe, maybe Premier League, Bundesliga, Liga, and something like that, and do well there?
If he avoids the injury, for sure, he has the potential to establish himself. I think in England, I think it's his dream to play in Premier League. When we spoke to someone who discovered him in England, they said to us, "Okay, without the injuries, maybe he will be already established in the Premier League." And I think it is not wrong because injuries made him missed a lot of games, and he lost a lot of time in his progression. Yeah, without that, now he knows more his body, how to react, how to recover, and I think yes, he can have a good move maybe in England, or yes, Germany also could be a good championship for him.
Let's talk about the recent call up, that he got for the September window. Was that big news around the club? Was that a big deal for fans? And then what have you heard Marlon talk about regarding that call up?
Yes, it was a good news for Standard, and especially for the fans, because a lot of memories about former player in Standard, because you have to know that Marlon is the second American to become international during his time here in Standard after Gucci Onyewu. Is a true legend here in Standard, and it's funny because when Marlon arrived and for his press conference to introduce him to us, I asked him about Gucci Onyewu, if he knew him. He didn't knew him well because when Gucci Onyewu became champion of Belgium with Standard, Marlon was only 8 or 9 years old. But he said, okay, a lot of people told me about him, and I will try to do my best to make the same or even better than him. So yeah, it was a great news for Standard and supporters, because everybody thought about Gucci Onyewu. So we hope Marlon Fossey can help USA as Gucci did in the past.
Yeah. Well, last thing I wanted to ask you about, Kevin, was you spend so much time around the club, covering these players day in and day out. I'm wondering if you have any, personal stories, anecdotes you could share about Marlon that fans might enjoy hearing about.
Yeah, in fact, I would say that I have three. The first one is that he scored his first goal, standard goals, in the fourth game he played. And you have to know it was the big clash here in Belgium, Standard against Anderlecht, which it's called the Classico here in Belgium. And to celebrate it, he did several backflips, because he was a former gymnast in his past. So he has a lot of ability. And he finished the game, but the game was stopped because of Anderlecht supporters. But he finished the game, but after the game, the coach, Ronnie Deila, said to us that he was really impressed about his ability to do that, but he wanted him to not do it again, because you have to know that the following game, Marlon missed it because he was injured because of the backflip. So we thought that Marlon will never do that again. 4-5 weeks after, scored second goals. And he did even more backflips without being injured. So it was nice, and it's a signature for him. 5 goals, 5 times backflips. Maybe the next time I will try to count how many he will do. And the second one is that Marlon is a vegetarian man, and he's the only one in Standard. In his family, everyone is a vegetarian, and the other players often make fun of him because of what he's eating, especially in the training camps. Looking on his dish, you eat that, so don't you want to eat some meals? So, but he's really make fun about that also. And the last thing, and I think it's the best for me, because Marlon is a really good man with whom you can speak about everything. And I think he's really curious. He wants to learn on the pitch, but also outside the pitch. And I mean, because when he arrived, he wanted to speak in French. So he took some lessons. Standard gave some lessons to the English speaking player or Dutch speaking player, and some stuff like that. And he did it. He took it seriously. And when you start to speak a foreign language, or you start to speak about the bad words or the expression, he chose for the second ones. And he always said, I will, one expression especially, I will say it in French and translate after. He said, ne mets pas toutes les frites dans le même sachet. It means don't put all your chips in the same bag. Every time with all the player on the pitch, he said that many times. So they laugh at him because of that. Or sometimes you can walk and you can hear his voice on your back saying in French, après la pluie vient le beau temps. After the rain comes the fine weather. So he's really entertainer player, enduring player, and I think you will learn to more about him, and he's really open also for the media, for the fans. As I told you, he's one of the best, one of the favorites fans. Take some times with the kids to sign some shirts, and it doesn't have yet a song here in Belgium. Maybe it will come, because you have to know also that he's vice captain of the club now. So it's a big reward also for him. And yes, I have to say Marlon is a kind guy, and it's good to speak with him.
Yeah. Those are great stories. None of them surprise me based on just what I've seen so far. He seems to just have this real personality that, a lot of players don't show their personality. It's like, all business. They want to be like professional. He just seems to, every time I've seen him, just show up and be himself and show his personality. And I'm going to have to go find some of those clips of the backflips on
I have one
YouTube.
if you want.
I want to see that.
Some links.
Yes, please do. I would love to see. I would love to see that. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show. I'll make sure and put links in the show notes to your X account, which is at Kev Sauvage, and also to your work at Sudinfo. Thanks again so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. It was nice to speak about that.
And thanks to everyone for listening to Here and Abroad. If you enjoyed the episode, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or that follow button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or somewhere else. Thanks so much. I'm Frank Garza. You can follow me on X at FrankGarza007, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.